Welcome to the science edition of Bills and Brews. Ever wonder what a 35 million year old beer tastes like? Today we'll bring you as close as we can. We met a couple cool cats who pulled an ancient whale fossil out of a river. A hyperactive little yeast was living off it. True to our spirit at Bills and Brews, they figured, what the hell, let's make some craft beers with this yeast. They teamed up with Virginia's Lost Rhino Brewing Company and turned it into a whale of a beer. We love these dudes.
My name is Jasper Akerboom. I'm a microbiologist. I used to work together with Jason over here at Genelia Farm Research Campus. It's a HSMI institute in Ashburn. And I switched to the brewing industry, and we brewed a beer together.
I actually, at Genelia Farm Research Campus, as an engineer, so a mechanical engineer. And on the side, I do a lot of paleontology. So I have a nonprofit organization called PaleoQuest. And its main mission is to find fossils, educate people about fossils. And also we thought, hey, what a great idea of bringing fossils and beer together. So I hooked up with Jasper here, and we decided to swab some of these 35 million year old fossil bones that we found in swamps.
Right. And
swab them for yeast and see if we can actually brew with that yeast, and we did.
So explain, give us the big picture. Where does this beer come from?
Well, it's kind of interesting. So this was actually yeast growing on fossil bones that we pulled from Southern Virginia, actually the east coast of Southern Virginia, these swamps. So we're diving in these blackwaters. Yeah, exactly. So these blackwater swamps, and we're pulling up a lot of this fossil material that hasn't been seen by humans. And had this wacky idea of actually swabbing some of these bones for yeast, and approached Jasper here, and kind of pulled it off, which was kind of amazing, the fact that you were able to find some yeast. But these bones were actually from a whale that still had legs. So these whales were actually living on land and migrated into the ocean. So these bones from this whale 35, 40 million years ago, they still had rear legs. So it's kind of neat, right? So
that sounds like a whale of a story.
It is a whale of a story, but however, it is true fact in science. And this is one of the gains with this story is educating the public in science and getting them jazzed up about science and say, hey, what are you drinking here? Where was this from? Where was this yeast from, and what was it on? And that's one of the main goals for this project.
Now, this is not a 35 million year old beer or 35 million year old yeast.
That's correct. So it's actually living yeast on old bones.
Yeah, so this was the sample, actually, the original sample that we got the yeast from the bone. So what I did was I took 20 samples in total from all over, the museum, from the bones, from the wall, from the trees outside. And this is a media that I kind of designed myself, and it contains some stuff in it to make it especially nice for yeast, but not so nice for bacteria. And all of them, all of the rest was all bacteria that still grew, so that some of the bacterial species still overcame the inhibition. But this sample actually had nice fermentation after a couple of days, and we repeated it for all of the samples. And again, from the same source, we only got fermentation. So that was really nice because, of course there was some other crap in there too growing. And I remember it was Friday, and I looked through the microscope, and it was just bacteria, and I was like, damn, the first time it was like, I picked up something else. And then I came back on Monday, and there were like bubbles going, and I was super happy. I was like, this is a
I'll never forget that
money
email.
shot. Yeah, so I kept this bottle with this is an old honey bottle actually in the lab, and you can see over here when I shake it up, you can see that there's like stuff on the bottom. That's basically the yeast that's kind of suspended over there. Yeah, so that's the one we got.
And you never think about a brewery having a guy in a lab coat surrounded by beakers and all this.
And a lot of craft breweries don't take that time and effort to put into the science and the background and the lab and the equipment and all that stuff that's involved with that. And we just decided right out of the gate that that's what we were going to do.
But a lot of them just can't afford it, right?
Yeah, certainly. But they're I mean, there are a lot of ways to get around that. You know, before this, I mean, you know, you can get a basic microscope and get around it and get things done if you need to. And I think there are ways to get it done if you need to. So
That's true. I mean, like a lot of breweries, they don't want to spend any time and money in that. It's like expensive, of course, but I mean, for packaging and for doing like crazy projects like we do, you know, it's like I guess it's good for me, and then I can find a job and I can do something nice. So yeah.
My name is Fabio Garcia. I'm the head brewer at Lost Rhino Brewing Company.
Drew Wiles, Beltway Brewing Company. I'm a cellarman, assistant brewer, and lab technician.
I'm Brendan, and I'm with BehindTheCraft.com.
You know, we made a nice little amber ale, about 5.5%.
It's kind of like a saison yeast. It's got these fruity esters coming off of the beer.
Because I'm a little bit more aesthetic when it comes to drinking beers, I tend to focus on the feel as opposed to the flavor a little bit more than most. So just definitely have to say, when you take a sip, let it resonate for a second. Understand like where it's come from.
It's a lot of flavor going on.
Really light, citrusy,
Almost sour fruit in some ways, like a real tart fruit.
enjoying it and enjoying the fun here. So cheers.
We kind of built the recipe around this yeast, right? So we had this yeast strain bumping around our brewery for a couple of months, and we tried different little small batches, and we kind of picked the hops that got to go along well with this yeast strain. So like the fruity hops, just El Dorado hops, we had like the mango, passion fruit, kind of tropical fruit flavors going on.
Any message to Congress with science and beer?
Absolutely. I have a really interesting message to Congress, and that is, you know, as far as this Bone Dusters project, and a lot of the proceeds are going to support STEM-related projects, including citizen science projects. And those citizen science projects are actually bringing real science to the classroom. And I think it's really important in STEM education, and the way that the U.S. should be viewing education is actually having kids answer real scientific questions within the classroom. And that's what we're doing at PaleoQuest. That's what we're doing with the Shark Finder Citizen Science program that actually won the Champions of Change event at the White House last June. So I think that's my major message is, hey, you know what? We have all the resources that we need, and we can actually implement real scientific questions into the classrooms. And I think ultimately that's one of my passions, is really pushing that, along with my co-founder of PaleoQuest, Aaron Alfred.
Okay, and my passion is beer,
Yeah.
politics,
Yeah.
and I guess the science behind beer.
That works.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Taste the science already.
Yes.
So never BS at Bills and Brews, but sometimes a little BBS. Bills, Brews, and Science. Cheers.
Yeah.